Well, it happened. Here we are. The Russell Westbrook roller coaster moves across the hall to us, the LA Clippers. What does it mean for the Clippers? Is it a good move? Have I changed what I said in the episode a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago, I should say? And how does it impact the Clippers' title chances? The good, the bad, the possibilities. Coming up on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, in my 18th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where I make more Clipper content and went live immediately after hearing about the news that has caused an earthquake in the basketball world and especially in Clipper Nation's world, and that is that Brody, the 2017 NBA MVP, Russell Westbrook, future Hall of Famer, is going to be bought out by the Clippers, or bought out by the Jazz and picked up by the Clippers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the official #1 new sports book for Locked On. It has happened. Paul George, the first thing you got to say is Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, they won. Ty Lue, they won. They got their point guard. You can add Marcus Morris and Robert Covington to that mix. They won. They got their point guard. They got the guy that they've publicly been campaigning for in the media. The front office did not get what they want. And that was clear when Lawrence Frank had the quote where he was talking about what the team needed and what they got at the trade deadline. They said they didn't want to get someone that could get played off the floor, and they looked at the point guard options, and they didn't think that anybody out there could be better than their 8 through 9 that they had, and they have to be able to shoot. That clearly does not imply Russell Westbrook. So it is very clear that the players won. Paul George was very involved with getting Reggie Jackson to the Clippers, and that ended up working out really great. Ultimately, Reggie is not going to be part of the championship plans, but it worked fantastic. We all love Reggie. John Wall didn't work as well. And now we have Russ, the guy who helped Paul George have the best regular season of his career before they bounced out in extremely disappointing fashion. I want to add 4-1 to the Portland Trail Blazers. Paul George was dealing with a shoulder issue, but being somebody that watched that series, Paul George's stats are pretty good still. It was, to me, more about the decision-making and the same stuff we criticize on a daily basis here on Locked On Clippers. But let's just get into it, right? So I did an episode a couple of days ago about the move. The one side was pro Russell Westbrook, one side was against it. And I said that my honest opinion was that I was against it because I just don't think the Clippers are in a position to take a chance like that. And I don't mean a financial risk. I mean, we already just made a trade. And we've had a problem for a couple of years now, but especially this year, of continuity, finding rhythm in terms of players staying healthy, and finding now the lineups that best optimize this team's chances to win a championship. And we realized that Reggie Jackson, John Wall, Luke Kennard, not as much Luke Kennard, but Reggie Jackson, John Wall, they weren't the answers at the point guard position, but they also just weren't playing good basketball, either of them. So they said, you know what, we're going to make a move. We're going to go out and fulfill the need we need, and that is to get a backup big. We got a better shooting guard than Luke Kennard with Eric Gordon, and we got a younger energizer bunny in terms of scoring and instant offense with Bones Highland. And this is really just sad for Bones Highland because I think there's very little chance he's going to be playing much these days. And we already knew that in the playoffs his role was going to be extremely limited. But now it's like, I don't know if he's going to touch the floor in the playoffs. And that's sad for a guy that left the situation in Denver in which he wasn't happy with, comes now and thinks he's going to be the backup point guard. And now we have Russell Westbrook. And that poses the question, are we going to start Russell Westbrook? Is he going to come off the bench like he did with the Lakers this season? We don't know. But I still feel, to be honest, Clipper Nation, and I'm starting to think more optimistically just because I've had to accept it. You know, at the end of the day, I have to accept it, and I think as fans, we just need to accept it and get behind the guy. There's nothing more that we can do. We can disagree with the decision, express that we disagree with the decision, or you can express that you agree with the decision and think this is the move that the Clippers needed. Everybody is entitled to their opinion on this. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to work, but we all want the best for the team. In my opinion, I wouldn't have done it if I were Lawrence Frank. However, Lawrence Frank clearly was pushed to do it. And Rob Pelinka took a lot of backlash for this last year with the Lakers. But the difference is they traded the entire farm for Russ and had a $46 million expectation. The Clippers are not going to have a $46 million expectation. In terms of finance, it's extremely low risk. Russ is a free agent this summer, and the Clippers, just like the Lakers can do with D'Angelo Russell, can choose what they want to do with this player that they're receiving in a trade. The difference is this. The Clippers already looked pretty good going into the All-Star break. Yes, they don't have a fantastic record, but they are in the 4th seed. They just made moves that have made them look like a better basketball team, and we're just starting to see that percolate. Now we're always going to have the what if. What if the Clippers hadn't gone for Russ? And you might be thinking, well, this shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's just Russ may not have, it doesn't mean he has to play so much. If he's not playing well, Ty Lue can sit him. Well, before this season, I would have agreed. But Ty Lue this season has shown a propensity to stick with guards and, at the expense of players like Robert Covington, who are just sitting on the bench game after game, not even playing. Terrence Mann, who we've basically had to beg and has had to play extremely well for consecutive games to finally gain the respect in terms of minutes that he deserves and how important he really is to the team, a guy that should be playing 30-plus minutes a night. These lineups, Ty Lue hasn't had a great coaching season. It's not been a secret to anybody. So that's also a concern because here's the thing. The problem with John Wall was he wasn't happy that he didn't come in and wasn't allowed to be the starting point guard and be that guy that he thought he was. Russell Westbrook, it's only been one spot he hasn't been good. Everywhere else he's been good. I mean, I know he didn't play well in the bubble in Houston, but he was dealing with a serious injury. And before the bubble, when the season shut down, he was playing some of the best basketball he had played in a while. And in Washington, as I said, I watched that season. He was really, really good. But the thing is, they didn't really have much of an expectation. Now, for the first time since, you could say with the Lakers, he was brought in to win a championship and that crashed and burned. But he has a realistic cast around him that's probably the best he's had since Oklahoma City with Durant, honestly. He's, for the first time, the true... after this Laker time, I guess, now he's the third wheel. But he's the third wheel on a team of guys that fit him better. However, my concern is in the half-court set. Teams are going to sag off of him all day long. They're going to go underneath every screen like they did with John Wall. And he's going to have to finish. He's going to have to finish. He's going to have to get by defenders. And if they make, if he gets by defenders and they help, no doubt in my mind he can make the right pass and he's the best passer on this team. No question. Just like John Wall. He needs to show that he's better than John Wall. And I know Russ is. But how much better is the question? Because off the ball, there are still real concerns. When Kawhi Leonard and Paul George get the ball in the mid-post, they are going to be doubled. And teams are going to sag off Russ. And Russ shooting that 3-ball, that wide-open shot, is a win for every defense. And what Russ did a lot with the Lakers is he would just come up the court without even passing and just throw it up there. And those are absolutely going to be unacceptable for the Clippers. He also really struggled navigating screens, especially last season. He needs to have effort on the defensive end because, as I've been saying, the Clippers need to put out guys that guard out there. And mainly what I'm concerned about is the pressure of having the name Russell Westbrook. Does that make Ty Lue more inclined to play him more than he deserves? Is he going to take Terrence Mann's starting position and Marcus Morris is going to stay out there? I just think there's only 21 games left. We have enough continuity issues as it is. We're bringing in a guy with such a big reputation. I don't think it's low risk, high reward. I think it's high risk, high reward. Because in my opinion, this is championship or bust. This is not a season where, we're bringing him in, but next season we'll have training camp. We don't even know we're going to re-sign the guy. And you could say that's why it's low risk. But the difference is I think this season means a lot. I just don't know, because you just don't know year to year in the NBA. You really don't. And the Clippers have a golden opportunity to potentially win a championship this season. And it just got tougher with Phoenix. The question is, did it get tougher by signing Russ? But coming up, going to be looking more at the positive, because I really am starting to think maybe we just got to believe, because he's going to prove everyone wrong. Going to be talking about why I think that could be the case coming up. But before, we're going to be talking about FanDuel. And FanDuel is the official new sports betting partner with Locked On. It's the midway point of the NBA season, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. My favorite bets for the week? Well, to be honest, there's such a long break that I haven't even looked at them. But you know what? Just because I'm feeling a little lucky, I'm going to take the Clips money line against the Sacramento Kings on Friday in Russell Westbrook's debut. Going to be an energetic night. I am going to be in the building. And you know what? Let's just say we're going to win the game. And FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlays. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. FanDuel is also the sponsor of this episode, our #1 sportsbook and our new sports betting partner here at Locked On. So talking about Russ, now going to look at things in a little bit more of a positive light, because you know what, at the end of the day, I can sit here and tell you about, he isn't a good off-ball defender. He has not shown the ability to really fight over screens with effort consistently anymore. You know, everybody says that Russ plays super hard and gives us 100%. I think that was absolutely true for many years, but it's not been true with the Lakers, and Laker fans can attest to that. And I'm not a Laker fan. I'm actually a Russ fan. But I watch Laker games, and he was not fighting over screens. The part where he's good defensively is teams won't be able to bully him like they did Kennard, like they'll be able to do Bones Highland, like they did Reggie. That's when Russ takes it personally. And there's been a couple times this season, particularly when I watched the game against the New York Knicks a couple weeks ago, where Julius Randle tried to post him up 3 times, and Russ just absolutely took his lunch, stole the ball, and just told him, nope, you're not bullying me, buddy. And that's what's going to actually help the Clippers switch everything scheme. But when quicker guards are one-on-one against Russ, he needs to move his feet and take pride on the defensive end. And when we play the pick and rolls with Zubats in drop coverage, I think Russ needs to fight over those screens, which brings us to the question, will he start? Adrian Wojnarowski says that there is a real chance. LA Times beat reporter Andrew Greif, I don't know if that's his last name. Please correct me in the comments, somebody, if they know. But our good LA Times beat writer for the Clippers says that it's not a guarantee, but Russell Westbrook was promised a specific role. Everybody's kind of brainstorming on what that could mean. But I think it just means that he's not guaranteed to be treated like a third star. He's coming in to help the team, and he's going to be judged based on his performance. At least I hope that's what it means, and I assume that's what it is. And the reports all said Russell Westbrook chose the Clippers because it was the best chance where he could win a championship. And damn right, when you compare it to Washington and Chicago, it's absolutely the best chance to win a championship. And the Russ fans are absolutely ecstatic about this. They think it's just such a great fit because the Clippers have so much shooting. They have guys, their 2 stars are more comfortable without the ball. LeBron is one of the more ball-dominant superstars we've ever seen. Russell Westbrook also being a very ball-dominant player. We've seen Paul George and Russell Westbrook work so well together in the regular season. I want to remind people, though, that they underachieved in 2 straight postseasons, but you can counter that by saying Clippers have a better supporting cast and ultimately the trump card, Kawhi Leonard, being a better player than the both of them. which is absolutely facts. So we got to consider that as well. Paul George and Russell Westbrook now with Kawhi Leonard. And one thing we got to love about Russ, he doesn't miss games. Now, I know what you might be thinking. It doesn't matter if he misses games or not if he's a net negative. Well, here are 3 things we just need Russell Westbrook to do, and we're going to be very good. We need Russ to blow by whoever's guarding him. And the Clippers are going to be able to get favorable matchups because teams are going to switch a lot. So when centers are these guys that, mostly a lot of times they run centers because they invite Russ to drive on them. So if Russ is being guarded by a center and we're surrounding him with shooters, those players defending the shooters for the Clippers are going to be staying attached a lot more than you'd see with the Lakers. That gives Russ the ability to go one-on-one and he needs to blow by and finish. It's as simple as that. Now, free throws are going to be a little bit of an issue. And his jump shot is going to be an issue, especially off the ball. But if he can take the space that's given to him and consistently blow by the primary or the initial defender, he's going to create a ton of good shots for Zoo. He's going to create a lot of good looks for everyone because he's the best passer the Clippers have on this team. Now, they need to limit the turnovers, him and Paul George, the turnover brothers, as I've called them on multiple occasions. They need to limit the turnovers. And Russ cannot take those, coming up the court, no pass possessions, no pass shots, because those are just wasted possessions. But that's the first thing, right? Just blowing by defenders and blowing by whoever's guarding him and finishing is the first thing. Second thing he needs to do, fight on the defensive end. That's the second thing. He plays with effort defensively. It's fine. And then third, I think when Kawhi gets doubled and he gets the ball in space, he needs to either cut to the basket or get the ball and attack the open space. Because here's the thing with the Clippers, and someone I talked to did make a good point about this that I didn't consider. With the Lakers, when they doubled off of LeBron and Russ got the ball, a lot of times teams were still not worried about certain other shooters on the Lakers, that they were still kind of cutting off Russ's drive. But the Clippers, he's going to have more shooters. So a lot of times if Russ can get the ball and just quickly make a move the way Terrence does, he'll either have a 2-on-1 situation with Zoo where he can throw a lob or just go all the way and finish, or he can find an open shooter if defenders start sinking. So that's an option. If Russ can just be aggressive, I don't want him being baited into taking that 3. But the thing is, we saw the similar thing with John Wall, and that's the concern. We need Russ to be a lot better than John Wall. Now, the ultimate thing that makes all of this that I'm talking about overblown is what you might be thinking. If Ty Lue notices that he isn't playing well, he's going to sit. Well, here's the thing. As I said, I don't know how confident I am in Ty Lue right now. If he wants to get the best out of this team, he takes Marcus Morris out the starting lineup, severely starts reducing his minutes. Russell Westbrook would start with Kawhi, Paul George, and Terrence Mann. Kawhi at the 4. I think he can absolutely guard 4s in this league today. I think he can rebound today. And I think having just that athleticism, that length around Russ would be really good. Terrence Mann shooting much better from 3 lately. He's also a cutter, and Russ will find cutters, that's for sure. And Paul George, Kawhi, I think that would just be honestly really solid. And then off the bench, we'll see what happens. You'll have Norman Powell, Eric Gordon, Mason Plumlee, Nico, and then you'll decide between Bones Highland, Marcus Morris, and Rocco. But that's mainly what I want to see. Russ needs to move without the ball a little bit. When Kawhi and Paul George get double-teamed, he needs to flash middle. He needs to cut to the basket. And when he gets the ball, don't get baited into that 3. Attack the gaps and try to make a play. If they sink, there should be somebody open. Ultimately, Russell Westbrook is a leader, and he wasn't able to lead properly with the Lakers because that's LeBron's team. Now, this may be Kawhi's team, but he's not a vocal leader, and I've said that many times, and everyone knows that at this point. He's more vocal than they give him credit for. But Russell Westbrook is a galvanizer. He is a guy that has carried teams that really have had not much business being in the playoffs and has dragged them there. And that's Enes Kanter, and that's a bad example considering the way he's been recently, but Andre Roberson, so many different players, Paul George obviously, have come out and said that Russell Westbrook is like the greatest teammate I've had. Bradley Beal said great things about him. There's no secret that guys like playing with this guy. And I think if we can get Russell Westbrook to just have fun again and believe in him, and as fans, we got to get behind him, and we get a good version of Russ, then man, oh man, the sky's the limit. And coming up, going to be closing out by talking about how I feel overall about how good Russ still is and can be for the Clippers. Going to be talking about that coming up. All right, so right now let's take a look at Russ's numbers, and they're not really great. The one thing I'll say is he has played 52 games, and he's also averaging a career low in minutes with 29. And I think overall, he probably will average around 25 to 30 minutes. I think the Russ fans are going to think he's going to get 30 plus, but that's really dependent on how he plays. There is a chance that he only gets 20 to 25, and that's if he plays kind of similarly to how we saw with the Lakers, where he's just a net negative off the ball. He's okay on the ball, not really creating that many good shots, missing layups, missing free throws, and then not playing very good defense, being lost off the ball, and turn the ball over. If he does all that, his negatives outweigh the positives, he's getting 19 to 23 minutes or something. But if he's the seamless fit that the Russ fans think he's going to be, and that the people that are pro the move think it's going to be, he could get up to 30-plus minutes a game. He could be our clear-cut third-best player. And I think there's still a chance of that, honestly. I think there's still a chance Russ can be the third-best player on this team. But then my other concern that I haven't even mentioned comes up. Paul George and Russ in big moments at the highest level. Let's say it even works out in the regular season. The goal is to win a championship, right? And I already had concerns about Paul George that I voiced so many times. And there's people in the comments on this channel that think that Paul George needs to get traded, should have gotten traded at the deadline, and needs to be traded after the season. And to those I've said to all of them, we need to see Paul George and Kawhi Leonard finish a postseason with Ty Lue. We haven't even seen that once because of Kawhi's injury against Utah. But now you're bringing another guy who's had his fair share of playoff disasters and bringing them back together when they make very questionable decisions in crunch time and in big moments against high-level competition. That's what concerns me more than anything. More than any basketball fit, more than Russ shooting 41% from the field, 42% from the field this year and 30 from three, which are not good splits at all in today's NBA. Now, granted, he's going to be playing with better teammates and in a better situation with more spacing, but that's not great. And Ty Lue needs to limit him. If Ty Lue can just limit him, there's no big deal. And in my opinion, Russell Westbrook shouldn't close games. I've seen him make game winners here and there and make big plays, but I think I've seen more times where he has made a bad decision where he's either not given the ball to a player that's a better scorer than him late in the game. He has shot a three when it's not needed, when he's not been a good three-point shooter, basically giving the defense what they want. There was when he was young, when he would just be out of control, playing too fast all the time, and ultimately just making head-scratching decisions, not getting it, not getting where to go, not getting what to do at what time and what's best in that moment. And that's what the ultimate role of a point guard is to make the right decisions for the team, make the smart decision for the team. And that's where I have real questions about Russ compared to other Hall of Fame point guards. So if I had to choose you right now, are the Clippers going to win a championship after this move? No. I don't think they're going to win the championship after this, just because I just don't believe in it. But I want to be wrong. I was right about John Wall, but then before the preseason, I was talked into all the positivity that all the Clipper fans were spreading about the potential of it changing. But I'm going to stick with my guns on this one, y'all. I am going to stick with it. I'm going to say that I'm going to stick by what I said, that I don't think it's a good move. I think that it gives the Clippers less of a chance to win. And funny enough, BetOnline agreed with us that they lowered the Clippers' odds to win the championship. But here's the thing. I've never wanted myself to be wrong so bad. I've never wanted someone to succeed individually more than Russell Westbrook that's come to the Clippers, because I root for Russell Westbrook I've rooted for Russell Westbrook his whole career. You know, as I said, a UCLA family. I've been rooting for him since 2008 when the Clippers, I wasn't rooting for OKC like that, but the years with Paul George, when the Clippers were not really competing, we weren't going to beat the Warriors and we didn't make the playoffs in 2018, I was really rooting for Russ. And I was rooting for Russ in 2017 to beat Houston too. I'm a Russ fan. So the fact that Russ is on the Clippers, it is going to be really surreal. It's going to be really surreal. This is only the second MVP, I believe, to play for the Clippers. Unless Bill Walton won one in the 70s. I don't know if he did. I know he won Finals MVP, but I don't know if he won an MVP. But Bob McAdoo and now Russell Westbrook have played for the Clippers, and it's going to be pretty cool to see him in a Clipper uniform, especially me being a fan of his and him still being a hometown guy from Lusinger High School. And, man, he's going to be so motivated. That's what we're underestimating. He's going to be so motivated to prove everyone wrong, to prove all the Laker fans wrong. And he had to handle a lot of abuse these last couple of years with the Lakers. It was a tough period for his family. It was just rough. And he had to be asked questions about him being traded, decisions he made, all this stuff about Vogel, Ham, his role. It'll be nice for him to be in an environment where I just think he's going to be accepted more. And as Clipper fans, we don't have the same standard as Laker fans, and I think that'll help be okay for him. But that being said, I'm not lowering my standard for this season. It's championship or bust, and there's even more pressure now. And at the end of the day, to conclude this podcast, this all falls on Ty Lue, Kawhi, and Paul. I'm not even going to get that mad at Russ if he makes mistakes, because we know who Russell Westbrook is at this stage of his career. We took a gamble here with him. With 20 games left, to try to put it all together, to try to get him incorporated, and the three guys we just brought in that I thought it was almost ready to fully be incorporated, final product. But now we got another tool in the toolbox that we can use. And it's a tool with an MVP. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George went full-on LeBron style on this one. Or should I just say modern NBA style, the player empowerment era, which is really the star empowerment era. It's what the stars want. Terrence Mann might not have been in favor of this move, but he doesn't have to say like that. Paul George and Kawhi ultimately won. They ultimately convinced Lawrence Frank. And that brings me to today's pin question. If it doesn't work out and the Clippers don't win the championship, does this move fall more on the players' hands or Lawrence Frank for getting the final say? Because at the end of the day, if Lawrence Frank says no, is that a disgruntled star? Paul George even made another comment about Russ at All-Star Weekend saying he's the player he wants most to see win a championship that doesn't have one, if not him. And now they can work on that goal together again. Funny how things work out. And I know what you might be thinking. The whole Kawhi Leonard went behind Russell's back after Russ hit up Kawhi to play together in LA. I don't believe that story because it was first reported by Skip Bayless, and Russell Westbrook is a really loyal guy who loved Oklahoma City. Paul George was the one who just re-signed. I don't believe that Russell Westbrook would just bail on Paul George like that and bail on Oklahoma. That's just not who he is. And I also heard from one of his family members that wasn't true either. And I don't see Kawhi as the type of guy to say, hey, Paul, Russ hit me up and, he's talking about playing together, but I'd rather play with you. Let's bail. Like, it sounds like Mean Girls. Like, that's not, I don't believe that for a second. But I do believe that Russell Westbrook said hell nah about joining the Clippers when he went to the Lakers. And to that I say, I don't really care. I love Russell Westbrook. I'm going to back him with all my heart. I suggest you do the same. But that doesn't mean you can't be pissed if it doesn't work out. You have every right to be as a fan. And now the pressure increases. And Kawhi Leonard and Paul George aren't going to play the rest of the season, like every single game. That's the good thing about bringing in Russ. He has a great record in terms of the last 2 years with staying on the court. I just hope we have enough games, enough time, and Ty Lue makes the right decisions. Because Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have no one to blame but themselves if they don't win the championship because they're making this move. Because we'll always have a what if that. If we didn't, what would our team have looked like if we're just riding with the squad that we had? But if Russ doesn't even play that many minutes, it won't even matter, really. However, I believe he will because he's Russell Westbrook. And they advocated so hard for him to come in, and it's a huge story. Like, everybody thinks that we're the Clippers, so it's not going to be the same pressure. There's a lot of pressure on the Clippers to win a ring. It's been 4 years of this experiment, and we get a lot of media attention. We were the favorites coming into the season, picked by many people. So there's nowhere to hide. And this will only increase the pressure, no matter what anyone says about Russ. But anyway, go Clippers. I still support the guys through thick and thin. Paul George, go Russ. Can't wait to see him in a Clipper uniform on Friday. And going to be more Locked On Clippers. So tell me in the pinned comment, what you think. If it doesn't work out, who is held more accountable? Lawrence Frank for signing off and, giving in? Or Kawhi, Paul George, and Ty for pushing for it? And please don't excuse Kawhi Leonard because he has a huge say in the decision making and the final say. And he's been pushing for a point guard according to everybody for a couple of years now and has made comments about our IQ and all that type of stuff. And Ty Lue, we know he loves point guards. He said it. So let me know what you think. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeJumperPod. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers. Thanks for making Locked On Clippers your first listen today. Now make your second listen game-to-game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.